Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? So this world we live in is a power struggle. There's always different groups and organizations who are always struggling for power. Everyone wants to be the one in charge, right? But with power comes responsibility. And this responsibility really falls into a moral obligation. That means that those who are invested with power have a moral obligation. And this moral obligation comes in different faces. But the face that I'm speaking on right now is this face, the willingness to break ranks in a situation in order to put your comrade in check. And what I mean by that is this: a lot of these incidents where authority figures are stepping over the bounds, Tyree Nichols, for example, and these innocent men are being victimized and they're being subjected to police brutality, right? Most of the time, there's more than one person involved: two, three, four, five, six, possibly 10 at times. Okay, because this is a nationwide thing. A lot of this stuff doesn't even reach the news. The things that you're focused on or that most people are focused on, the things that actually reach the news. But just in general, there's always more than one person involved. The problem is this: no one has the nuts to get involved in the right way. No one has the nuts to say, okay, stop that. Don't do that. Okay, he's had enough, right? This is where the moral obligation comes in. This is when someone's integrity kicks in and they're saying, look, I don't care about nothing else. I don't care about your authority. I don't care about your directions and what you're saying. All I know that only thing that I know is right now you have stepped over those bounds and someone needs to check you. Okay? The problem is not the brutality itself. The problem is this: that no one decided to stop it. No one stood up and said, no, man, don't do this. Look, he's had enough, right? So, what happens when power, or tyrannical power, to be more specific, goes unchecked? It spreads like a fire. People are hurt, innocent people are victimized, right? Someone has to stand up and say, look, don't do this. Someone has to stand up and say this, mean it, right? With the willingness to accept the consequences that come along with taking the stance, like no good deed goes unpunished, right? But in these cases, no one breaks ranks. They all follow suit. Well, because he's doing it, I'm gonna do it. Because we're all wearing the same uniform, right? No integrity. Oh, because he's my boss, I'm not gonna challenge him, right? But you see what happens in the end, everyone's held accountable. Everyone is held accountable for the role that they played. The most important thing that needed to be done at that time is that you not only needed one person breaking ranks, you needed a couple of people breaking ranks. You needed someone there to break that up. Hey, stop that, hold on, you're going overboard. That's enough. It's called checks and balances. So what happens when you let tyranny or tyrannical rulers or people that have power that have no integrity, what happens when you let them occupy seats of government or you let them infiltrate your law enforcement agencies? What you're going to witness is a whole lot of corruption. A lot of corruption. When there's no one willing to stand up and speak the truth and tell it like it is because they fear the consequences, when no one's willing to do this, you're going to have a serious problem on your hand. Not just locally, not just in your neighborhood, but this thing not only has national consequences, this thing called integrity, this thing about checks and balances, it also has international consequences, right? I mean, for example, look at the rulers that rule this world in different parts of the world. If no one's there to check them and keep them in check, they can just press the button and we're all in trouble. Who's going to keep that tyrant in check? Who's going to keep that dude in check when he gets angry? This man that has all this power, who has armies at his disposal, who's going to keep that man in check when he loses his temper? Somebody has to be there to break ranks, man. Okay? And when you don't have people willing to stand up for the right reason and break ranks, you're going to have problems. Okay? So when do you say, okay, you know what? I am not going to obey this order. Just because you told me to do it doesn't mean I have to do it. I can say no. I can even have the nuts to not only tell you no, but also have the willingness to accept the consequences of what no brings. There is a serious problem in any society when the real men in that society do not stand up and say no to injustices that are taking place. Most of these situations where these men, these innocent men, were killed for no reason by law enforcement personnel, right? The reason they were killed was not so much what they did or what they didn't do. The reason they were killed was not even so much the police brutality. Because humans are going to be humans. They're going to get mad. They're going to do things they're not supposed to do. The real problem is no one stepped up and stopped it. No one got involved and said, no, don't do this. That's the real problem. Men don't have the nuts to stand up and do the right thing. That's when you know you have a real problem. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. That's why you never give no one absolute power. You set checks and balances. You make sure you have people within your ranks at any given time can stand up and make sure they keep a tyrant in check, right?